lovelies. This is 5 Minute Manifesting, and I'm your host, Lovey Brown. Thank you so much for listening. I'm thrilled that you're here. And today I want to talk to you about the future. So, when we're manifesting something, we're often thinking about our future, the future in which we will have that manifestation. And it's a subtle little thing that we do. I'm guilty of it pretty regularly. But we don't really want to push our manifestation off in the future in our internal world, in our imagination. But because of the way we live, because of the way we've been taught to think and think about the future, that's often how we go about manifesting. We often are just sort of looking out to the future, thinking about when we will get our manifestation, right? We're looking for it, we're thinking about it, and we're also often when we're doing our manifesting techniques, when we're visualizing or when we're affirming, we often have this thing in the back of our minds or just how we're thinking about it, like our frame of reference is as if it's in the future and we're visiting the future. Now, part of it is that's what you're doing. It is kind of in the future of your 3D reality. However, you really need to practice thinking of it in the present. This is another sort of, like, you can think of it as another physical location. You can think of it as a place in your imagination that you're visiting, but you want to try as best as you can to not think of it in the future and push it out from you. You want it to be in your here and now, even when you're in your imagination. So when you go into your visualization, when you're doing your affirming, when you're doing your inner conversation, when you're scripting, you want that to be your now moment. Your now moment, you have your loving romantic relationship with your specific person. Your now moment, you have your dream job. Your now moment, you have your money. Whatever it is you're manifesting, your health, your body that looks the way you want it to look. All of those things that we're all working on manifesting, when you're doing your techniques, when you're focusing, during your focusing work, you want that to be your now moment. You don't want it to be some future moment that you're accessing as if it's in the future. And so I know it's really subtle, and I very much still often do this, which is why I'm making this episode today, because when I'm thinking about my manifestation, I'm often thinking of it as if it's in the future. And I need to take the posture, the internal posture of the person that has it now while I'm doing my imagining work. And then when I come out of that and I go about my life, I live as if I do have it, right? And so let's talk about how that is a little bit. So let's say you're manifesting a specific person and you're at the grocery store. More likely than not, most of the times you visit the grocery store, you're not going to be physically with your specific person, even when you were in a relationship. So while you're at the grocery store, you can adopt the mental posture, even the physical posture. If you would walk differently when you are in a relationship than you do when you're not, adopt all of the aspects of yourself that you would adopt when you have your manifestation. And that's living in the end. So that's a Neville Goddard phrase, living in the end. Like you often hear in manifesting circles, like already having it. Already having it is how you manifest it. And it's not that you have to like be delusional actually and tell your friends that you have something you don't have. You can do that. That's a method that you can do, but it's not exactly that. It's more that in your internal world, you're adopting the posture, the internal mental focus and posture of the person who has that thing. Your self-concept, your identity is shifting to be that person. And so when we think about it as if it's in the future, it's almost like you still are a different person that can get prepared for it. And you don't really want to be thinking of it in that way. I know why we do it. I absolutely know why we do it. I struggle with this personally because I love thinking about the future specifically more than I love thinking about the now moment. And I think that can really hold me back in my manifesting sometimes, even though I've manifested lots of things. And so try this little shift. I mean, and you can be doing everything right. And then you have this sort of notion of something being in the future, and it can just hold you back just a tiny little bit. So just try this shift internally about thinking of it as if you have it now, and try to really notice, just kind of notice and pay attention. Have I been thinking of it as if this is in the future when I get my specific person, when I'm in a relationship with my specific person, versus I'm in this relationship and I'm enjoying it in my internal world now? So that is what I wanted to talk to you about today. Thank you so much for listening, and may you manifest exactly what you want.